Summers, who is the mixer on set of Retour. How did your desire to work on sound in the audiovisual fields begin?
Well, at first I studied social sciences and communication, and at school we had this big studio and an editing room and cameras and all this stuff, and I was very intrigued by that. And that was noticed by one of my teachers who was in charge of that department, Geert, and he decided to send me to get me in contact with cameramen. I worked with the cameraman, and they took me on their jobs, and the world opened to me, because first I wanted to be a journalist, but then I saw, oh, I can be really in stories of people, and yeah, I decided that will be my job. And one day you step into a story of a mother next door, but the next day you're in Greenland with some Inuit, and every day brings a new story.
At first you worked in reality and documentary, and then you moved on to fiction. How was it for you? Did you have a preference between them? Was it more fascinating to work on fiction?
Well, I still do both, because there are some shows they're still asking me to do it, and they're really nice to do. But going into fiction and film, it added some new dimensions. You have to work with a very large crew. Sometimes we were only shooting with 3 people. Now it's like sometimes 50 people, and that brings a whole new
dimension to
it. Yeah. You have to deal with all departments. For sound, it starts of course with the director. You have to get a good contact with the camera. The location team is really important for us. Art department, I had to shoot in an empty sauna, and the art department did very good things to make the acoustics right and still have keep the feeling of that set. With wardrobe and styling, because they have to help me with miking up. So there's a lot. There's also a lot of psychology and social interaction, which I like a lot.
Lately, with the rise of online platforms, the routines of viewers has changed a lot. They tend to watch their movies and TV series at home rather than going to the theater. And do you think this has affected the field of sound design a lot and changed it?
Yes, indeed. My children are often watching things on the internet. They still watch some television, and luckily they still go to the theaters. And we are lucky in Belgium. The production companies still give enough time, effort, money, also for web-based series and for things we make for the internet, for streaming. And we have to make sure it stays like that. Otherwise, there will be a big gap between the big feature movies and the internet stuff. For us on set, I think for sound designers it's a big challenge too, but for us on set we have to keep investing. Everything goes digital, everything goes wireless. We need to invest in communication tools, and luckily that makes it possible to work faster and better on the creative side. You need less installation time, and you can use that time for the creativity, because often for web-based series you have less time than for a movie, for instance. The technical side helps the creative side in that.
How is it to work and cooperate on set? Tell us a bit about the dynamics, please.
When you pass a movie set in the streets, you really think, oh, that's a bunch of technical people doing technical stuff. You see the vents, you see the lights, but that's only part of the truth. It is a technical set, but actually it's a people's thing going on there.
And also it was the COVID time when you did the film, so was it hard to operate?
Yeah, well, yeah, indeed. We had the luck that films could still go on in COVID time, and like for instance theaters, like the KVS where we are now, they were shut down. So the KVS crew was unemployed, and the writer of the piece is Michael from the KVS. And the production company, Javier and Dorothee, decided, let's take a part of the KVS crew and put them together with the film crew, which could be a risk because they're not familiar with film shooting. But actually, it turned out to be a very good choice because they were really eager to be creative, and they had a big lust for doing that and creating together. And it was really nice to work together.
And maybe it opened new windows for them to like skip from theater to cinema if they liked it more.
I don't think they want to lose them here because they were really good. So.
What happens to your work afterwards? Do you follow up until the film ends, or do you just leave it to post-production?
Some sound mixers on set also do post-production. I don't. I'm always in the field. And I have a great respect for sound designers and their post-production team because they have to work with what they get, with the raw material they get from us. So what I try to do on set is always work with them in mind, with post-production in mind. And actually, what we are doing on set is shopping the ingredients for them to cook your perfect cinematic experience, which is not simple because they were never there when we shot it. So I have to keep in mind to make a good report, to think what are the pieces they need. I have to talk to the first AD, can I record that FX or that room tone, or that can I have the time to take this ambience, just because I think they will have good use for that.
Yeah, to give them the best ingredients that we can.
And that's what we do, I think. I work with my boom operators, who I respect a lot. My part before shooting, I have to facilitate, I have to talk with art department. Also with styling and wardrobe, they are very important to me because I have to wire the actors, and it should be
you
a good.
To hide it well.
Yeah,
so
and it should sound well. I can hide it well, but I cannot hide it too much because then the microphone is buried and you don't hear anything. Of course, with the director, with the camera, and my job is to also to work in advance. And then you have the boom operator, and he's in the middle of the action when we're shooting. He has to connect with the light department, the grippers, the cameraman, of course. He cannot be in the frame, but and also with the actors, because we try to capture the performance. We cannot influence it by, oh, I cannot do that, can you alter your text?
We need to go with the flow of their movements and their speeches.
I can tell you, for instance, in case of Retour, it was not simple. You can imagine you have this cabin of the truck, which is not that big. You have the two actors in the seats, so all seats are occupied. And then Dorothée wants to stay really close with the actors. She also gives them the opportunity to go off script, to improvise when there's a connection. The written scenes, when we record them, they're double as long because they keep on going, and she's very close, and she feels the vibe, and she's there for guidance when needed. But so, she's also in the truck, so you have the two actors. You have the cameraman, Jan, who is the cameraman with his focus puller, and then there's Dorothée. And then we have to be there too. So they squeezed, the boom operator was squeezed in a corner with a short boom, trying to get the performance, and they're not always looking ahead. They're playing 360. So there was no place for me. I had to stand between the truck, the cabin, and the trailer. Because sometimes we were driving, and I'm still alive, but sometimes when they take a turn, this trailer comes like this to me, and I said, okay, I was recording. So it was not easy, but it was nice.
But it was worth the time.
Yeah, it was.
It turned out to be a perfect film.
Well,
and perfect sound.
I think that's true.
It always amazes me how music can be both subjective and objective, and at the same time tangible and intangible, and give you so much emotions at the same time. You know, a composer's job is really important, and I would like to ask you if you have a favorite composer. For example, mine are Max Richter, or Michael Nyman, or Nino Rota, who is a legend. Yeah. So you should have maybe someone that you would like to share.
Well, I'm happy to notice that we share the same favorite composer, like Michael Nyman. When I was a student in '89, I think, there was a movie, The Cook, the Thief, His Wife and a Lover.
Yes, I love that
And
film.
for me, it was an eye opener, or like an ear opener, because I noticed how important music could contribute to the whole movie. And afterwards, I thought, why is music actually? Why is there music in movies? Why is it important? Because the story will tell itself. But I think the music, the part of the music, is actually to tell you the story of what you cannot see. People have emotions, and you can see an angry face or a happy face, but they also have feelings in their head. You cannot actually see. Okay, a good actor can show off part of it, but there will be always a part you will never know for sure. And I think music is telling you that story, what the direction of the actors, of the interaction, where are they heading, and I think that's what makes a good soundtrack, that it adds this extra level of telling a story, and that was definitely the case in those movies. I don't know if you have seen The Mission. It was by Ennio Morricone, the soundtrack. He has a lot of spaghetti western, but that one also, it brings the movie to a higher level. It gets very emotional. I actually don't really remember the movie itself anymore, but I remember the music.
Okay, sometimes this happens, the music affects you more than
Yeah.
the visuals that you see, and when you think about it again, you see that you only remember the music
Yeah.
of the film.
Well, it was like that. It's not with Retour. There you
Yeah.
will remember the movie.
Both of them, not
Yeah,
only the
yeah,
visuals, both of them.
But yeah, it really gets the movie to a higher level. Also in Belgium, we got good composers. Last year I did the series Geldwolven, and the music was composed by Johan, and he really got this feeling right. It's about a man who's making new choices and his hesitation about it, and the music reflects it. It's really like in his head, what's he actually feeling. That's what makes a good soundtrack. For the film Retour, Dorothée worked with Le Motel. It was not the first time, and I also understand that. I mean, he's also Brussels based, like Dorothée, and they absorb this. I don't know where you live. I live near Leuven, and if I drive 10 minutes to Brussels, it's a whole new world opening to me, and you can feel it's a different vibe, and an intercultural vibe, and both Dorothée and Le Motel are absorbing this the strength of it. Some people from outside might be a bit scared sometimes, but there's a lot of good, and that's actually this film is also about. It's at first the intercultural clash, and then it becomes a cultural enrichment, and that's what the music of Le Motel is about, and also what Dorothée stands for, I think.
And it blows my mind.